Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Purifying the heart means to free it from all of the qualities that Allah and the Prophet do not love, and then to to adorn it with all of the qualities that are beloved to Allah and the Prophet. And tonight we're going to talk about the foundations of purification. So when it comes to purification of the heart, he starts with the food.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم من كتاب الأربعين في أصول الدين للإمام أبي حامد الغزالي رحمه الله تعالى ونفعنا به وبكم ورضي الله عنكم إلى أن قال تمهيد قال الله تعالى قد أفلح من تزكى وقال قد أفلح من زكاها والتزكية هي التطهير وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الطهور شطر الإيمان فافهم منه أن كمال الإيمان بتزكية القلب عما لا يحبه الله عز وجل وتحليته بما يحبه الله تعالى فالتزكية شطر الإيمان وكيف يشتغل بالطهارة من لا يعرف النجاسة فلنذكر الأخلاق المذمومة وهي كثيرة ولكن ترجع شعبها إلى 10 أصول.
So Imam al-Ghazali in the start of this chapter says, in purification of the heart, whoever purifies the heart is successful. He says that the spirit outside of the body, when it's outside the body, is called spirit, and when it's inside the body is called the nafs, the soul, or the ego. And then when it's in the body, the desires have polluted. So for it to return to its purity, and it means cleaning the soul from all of the ego, of all of the demonic traits, negative traits. These are all veils before the spirit. He says this purification is not something extra. This is not something it's optional. It's actually obligatory. It is the knowledge of purification. But this understanding is not something like you have an extra or something that's good to have. It is something that is obligatory. This is something that is wajib, fard. Why? Because just as your prayer is not accepted unless you are in wudu, unless you're in ritual purity and similarly it is not accepted unless your heart is purified from the diseases of the heart. And pay attention here. Just as your prayer is not correct if you don't have wudu, and before wudu you have to remove all impurities. Like if a person uses the washroom, he cleans himself, he washes himself, then he makes wudu, then he prays. So just as prayer is not correct with ritual purity, similarly the prayer is not accepted. We said it's not correct before, and here we're saying it's not accepted unless the heart is pure. So correctness is for the outward and acceptance is for the inward. Meaning if a person made correct wudu, and he removed all of the outward ritual impurities from his body, his clothes, and his place, then he prays. but then he prays with an arrogant heart, or he is showing off, he's ostentatious. So these attributes that are in the heart will prevent the prayer from being accepted, despite it being correct, meaning he won't be said as somebody who leaves his prayer. But when we say it's not accepted, it means it has no effect on the person. It has no impact on him. There's no impact in his faith he has no sweetness of faith. There's no effect on the heart. There's no effect in his characteristics, and it doesn't even stop him from fahsha and munkar, profanities and bad stuff. He says, I read Quran, I recite the Quran, but my heart is still attached with sins. Why is that? Because your heart still has impurities inside. You sufficed with outward purification, but what about the heart? Second thing is that on the Day of Judgment, Allah Azza wa Jal has conditioned success based on two qualities of the heart. One, through the words of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, and do not let me down on the Day of Judgment, a day where no wealth or children will save a person except the person who comes with a sound heart. He didn't say except for the one who comes with good actions. He said somebody who comes with a sound heart, because someone can have a lot of good actions, but he did those good actions with diseased heart, meaning he did a mountain's worth of good deeds, of prayers, of charity, of fasting, but all of it was just for getting a reputation amongst people. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, throw it back on his face. It will not be accepted because he didn't come with a sound heart. The sound heart, it is a heart that is sound from all diseases, no arrogance, no jealousy, no bad opinion. The second thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, that the that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the one who comes with the munib heart, he's fear of Allah, he fears Allah when he's by himself, and he comes with a munib heart, a heart that is always calling out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this, and then it says that enter into paradise with peace and ease. So the first thing is to come with a sound heart, and what is higher than that is to come with a munib heart. So because you can't be munib unless you're not a salim. And then after munib there are ranks. There's those who are God conscious, their hearts that are pure, they have ranks before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Imam al-Ghazali says that 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 purification is half of faith. That your prayer, that there are forms of worship that are not right except through pure ritual purity, like prayer, like tawaf, like recitation of the Quran. These are conditional. All of the prayers, and prayer is the foundation of the religion. The khutbah of the Friday prayer has to be by a khatib who's in wudu. Similarly, the purification of the heart. Then Imam al-Ghazali, may Allah have mercy on him, says that purification of complete faith comes with purification of the heart. That purification of the heart has awarid that are hidden. The problem is that the disease of the heart, they are hidden. It's like they're like poison that is hidden. Outwardly, it's like honey, but inside it's is a poison mixed in it. So the shaitan, so the shaitan uses the desires of humans to for worldly desires to plant in them disease of the heart.
الأصل الأول في شرح الطعام، وهو من الأمهات العظيمة الضرر في الدين، لأن المعدة ينبوع الشهوات، إذ منها تتشعب شهوة الفرج، ثم إذا غلبت شهوة المأكول والمنكوح انشعب منها شره المال، إذ لا يتوصل إلى قضاء الشهوتين إلا به، وينشعب من شهوة المال شهوة الجاه، إذ يعسر كسب المال دونه، ثم عند حصول المال والجاه وطلبهما تزدحم الآفات كلها كالكبر والرياء والحسد والحقد والعداوة وغيرها، ومنبع جميع ذلك البطن، فلهذا عظم رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أمر الجوع فقال: ما من عمل أحب إلى الله تعالى من الجوع والعطش، وقال: لا يدخل ملكوت السماء من ملأ بطنه، وقال: سيد الأعمال الجوع، وقال عليه أفضل الصلاة والسلام: الفطر نصف العبادة، وقلة الطعام هي العبادة، وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام: أطولكم عند الله تعالى أطولكم جوعا وتفكرا، وأقربكم إلى الله تعالى كل أكول مؤول شروب، وقال صلى الله عليه وسلم: ما ملأ ابن آدم وعاء شرا من بطنه، حسب ابن آدم لقيمات يقمن صلبه، وإن كان لا محالة فثلث لطعامه وثلث لشرابه وثلث لنفسه. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم: إن الشيطان ليجري من ابن آدم مجرى الدم، فضيقوا مجاريه بالجوع والعطش. وقال صلى الله عليه وسلم لعائشة رضي الله عنها: أدينوا قرع باب الجنة يفتح لكم، قالت: كيف ندين؟ قالت: بالجوع والظمأ. وقال صلى الله عليه وسلم: كلوا واشربوا في أنصاف البطون فإنه جزء من النبوة.
So the reality of, or the foundations of purification, to reach this path, or to traverse this path about which the Sufis have spoken about, are four: less food, less drink, less talk, and less sleep. So they say, for you to be steadfast, or for the murid to be firm on the path. And Habib wants to clarify one point, because some people misunderstand. They think that these people prohibit food. No, they don't. They don't prohibit anything. What is intended, it's not like you don't need to, it doesn't mean you don't have to eat ever. when you hear words like hunger or thirst, it doesn't mean you never eat or you never drink. But what it means is that if you ever feel hungry or thirsty, you don't grieve. You think of it as an opportunity to to take it as an opportunity to make dua and to reflect and ponder, because these spiritual openings come when the mind is clear. When a person eats, that the food affects them. Habib's not saying, but he's not saying don't eat, but but what it means is that you eat in a way that it does not that is in it's controlled, such that it does not have negative effect on you. So the effect is not from the food by itself. So the effect is from the after effects of the food. So for instance, a person eats halal tayyib food, but he didn't say Bismillah when eating that food. He didn't say Bismillah. He was hungry. He was really hungry, and he just rushed to eat. Will it have a negative effect on him? Yes, it will. Even though the food is halal, he's not eating pork or anything, or carrot, or anything that is prohibited. But the fact that he didn't eat with saying Bismillah means that the shaitan has come into him through his mouth and through into his heart. So shaitan looks for any way for it to enter the heart of the person, and the avenues with which the shaitan enters the heart of the children of Adam is through his desires. This is why the Prophet ﷺ has told us to say Bismillah when we eat, when we drink, when we enter the house, when we leave the house, even when we go to our family for procreation. You say Bismillah so that shaitan cannot come. Shaitan is waiting at your door, waiting for you to leave. So to give you to whims, whispers, and stuff about what do you think you do this, what do you think you do that. Similarly, when you go to sleep, this is why the Prophet ﷺ guided us to block all of these avenues by the dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal. So this is why, as we said, a person may be eating halal food, but he didn't say Bismillah. So it has a negative effect on him that caused him to have heedlessness. And similarly, a person wearing clothes and didn't say Bismillah, it would have an effect on him. And if he drinks without saying Bismillah, it will have an negative effect on him. This is why he says that what is intended by hunger is temporary hunger, meaning if you feel hunger, then don't hasten to eat. Wait. Let it be like a reminder for you. You're not going to die. Because hunger means you have restrained the devil. The greatest avenue for the devil to enter the heart of a believer is through food, and the easiest way for the devil to enter the heart is through food. Like for instance, if let's say the food is delayed, don't get angry. The wife is delayed in preparing the food. Don't get angry. This actually allows you to have a moment of purity and clarity in your heart. You are now resembling the prophets. At least emulate them if you can't be like them. And it's also an opportunity for you to use this hunger to reflect and contemplate, because as we said, reflection and contemplation requires pure clarity of mind and heart. And this is why we find in Ramadan that when you're reciting the Quran while fasting, it has a bigger impact on you as compared to you reciting the Quran after iftar. May Allah make us all reach the month of Ramadan with ease and well-being. And coming Ramadan, try to have a khatam in the daytime while you're fasting, and a khatam at the after iftar. So you will see that, notice that the recitation that you do during the daytime while you're fasting has deeper you have much more spiritual openings and much more because all these divine openings descend upon a clean and ready vessel to land upon, which is your heart. So while you're fasting, you don't even think about food, because even if you think about food, you can't eat until after Maghrib. So you are prepared in a way to receive these divine uh, revelations of sort to your heart. So reciting Quran while in the state of fasting has a great effect. And we find Habib Umar, may Allah make us benefit from him in both the worlds, doing a dars on tafsir of Quran after Fajr in Ramadan. The second meaning here of why these people, these ulama, who recommend recommend us to be hungry, is to nurture yourself into being a slave of Allah, such that you're not stirred by hunger, even though, or stirred by food, even though it's a desire which is permissible. Because we as humans, it's natural for us to eat. We must eat, but the human nature, the common human nature, is that we eat to fulfill the desire of hunger. Or he may not be hungry, but he craves a certain type of food, or he craves a certain sweet dish. So usually these sweets are not eaten when you're hungry, or juices are not drunk when you're hungry. They're eaten or drunk when you to enjoy. This is a desire. We're not saying it's haram or prohibited, but this way is the way that we're talking about, is to make you a pure slave of Allah Azza wa Jal, meaning you're not driven by your desires. But does that mean you don't eat, you don't drink, you don't eat sweets? We're not saying that. We're saying everything Allah has made permitted, but how do you do it? How do you eat it for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, with the righteous good intention? So if you desire eat something, you hold yourself and ask yourself, why are you eating? Is it for desire? Then you turn away, and then you say, wait, not that it's haram, is but because I want every single movement of mine to be for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. You wait for the righteous intention to take form. You want to suppress that other desirous intention, which is to eat just for the sake of the fulfilling your desire, until the other intention dominates, which is I want to eat a particular thing in a way with the intention that if I were to find its taste good, I would praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and glorify Him for the one who created it. Meaning you ate a fruit or a strawberry, it has a good taste. Or if you eat figs, it has good taste, and you say, subhanallah, how Allah has put this sweetness in this fruit in perfect measurement, in a perfect degree, that has been created for us humans, that our body needs. These are the nutrients that it has are what the body requires. The 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 nutritional benefit in it, or the portion of sugar that's in it, it's made perfect for you. So if you, and it's been made for you. So if I eat with this mindset that I'm eating to praise Allah Azza wa Jal, and that I to reflect and ponder upon this fruit, from where it came, from which ground or land it came, in which country was it, from India or China or Africa, or the millions of trees. It came from all that to 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 your table. It got transported to, it got parceled, whether it came on land or through air, and then it reached the grocery store next to your house, and then you purchased. These are opportunities of contemplation. So you then have transferred from the state of eating for the sake of just fulfilling your desire to a ocean of uh, contemplations, divine contemplations, and you have now entered into the celestial realm just through this fruit or this fig or this date or any other uh, forms of sweets that humans eat. Through that, you've entered into that realm. May Allah make us taste from the food of paradise. So the purpose is to rear yourself or nurture yourself to not eat for just for the sake of desires, but to eat for higher intentions. Then Imam al-Ghazali says, why did he start with the desire of food? He said, because all other desires follow that. If a person is hungry, will he think about marriage? If if he's hungry, will he think about gym or going out, working out? If he can't eat, can will he? If he's hungry, he won't be able to even speak. And also, a hungry person who doesn't find food, he doesn't think about business either. A business requires somebody who is filled up, satiated, goes to a coffee shop, and then he thinks about his plans. Then he mentions the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ on on reflection, fikr, because reflection does not come when you're full, when you're satiated. A person can reflect anytime, but the strong effect of contemplation and reflection, it happens when your stomach is empty or half empty. There's full or half full. So for this reason, the best times for reflection is in the last third of the night, or before going to bed. Let's say the person ate at 7 o'clock. I mean, I mean, some people have their food eating patterns all messed up. Some people eating at 12. Some people, we have this kind of uh, obviously people have different schedules because of work, etc. The least a person the least thing a person should do is, just as he has a schedule for eating, he should have a roster or a schedule for the food that they eat. This is actually an opportunity for a person to choose the type of food with which his body or her body benefits. The problem is we eat food that the body does not need or does not benefit from, or in quantities. Like for instance, a body needs a certain amount of iron, or proteins, but we give a lot more, or other types. So your body needs certain limits only. Then he says on the topic of reflection, Abu Darda radhiyallahu anhu said that to reflect for a moment is better than standing up in the night in prayer. Like we're talking about night prayer and the benefits of night prayer. Let's say if a person is not capable of waking up and for night prayer for whatever the reason may be, he's tired, etc. What is the alternative? From the alternatives is to reflect, to contemplation, and the reflection for a moment does not mean an hour; it means a moment. Like in Arabic, sa'a can mean hour, but no, it means for a moment. But reflect about what? What the 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 places or the things that you can reflect upon are many, and this is something we'll talk about in the next lesson. But Habib is going to tell us one particular thing that you can think about quickly that can take over your mind. So from the things that you can contemplate over is the question of, is Allah pleased with me or not? Ask yourself. And another way you can reflect upon is, if I were to die tonight, what would be my condition? If you're put in your grave, this is a place of reflection. This is actually real contemplation, because death is the reality, ultimate reality. People reflect about things that will never happen. These are imaginations, these are delusions. Its entire life they're just living in delusions. What if I got $1 million, $100 million? What would I do? This is something that's impossible. What if I won the gold prize, or what if I could did this or did that? They're thinking about inconceivable, impossible things. So they're just wasting their lives thinking about. This is not reflection, contemplation. This is just delusion. This is daydreaming, basically. Real contemplation is to think about something real, or something real that can happen, or that will happen. This is real contemplation. Something that is real, that you're living in the moment that you're living in. Meaning, this moment, is Allah pleased with you? When you ask yourself this question, the answer would be from within you, through your actions. Is Allah pleased with you or not? And the condition is not that just that if Allah is not pleased with you doesn't mean He's going to be punishing you. Or the question could be, you've not reached the moment, you've not reached the station where Allah loves you. Everyone, our teachers taught us to have a goal. Everyone has a goal. And what our goals is that when we don't die, unless that Allah loves us. Not just that He's pleased with us, but that He loves us. Because if He's pleased with you, obviously He'll honor. How can you be in the company of the Prophet ﷺ? This is what we've been taught by our teachers. So, a pure or a reflection, contemplation that is effective, that will have an impact on you, is to think about what the moment that you're in, or something that will definitely happen. So death is the ultimate reality that will happen. Everyone believes in it. Even the disbelievers believe in death. They believe in it, but they don't believe in the resurrection after. So what about us who believe in death and believe in the resurrection after? So our reflection on that topic should be serious. And also the one who thinks about death. True, death cannot be delayed or brought early. Your thinking about death will not bring it close and not delay it either. But does it have an effect on your soul? Of course, yes. And does it have an effect before Allah Azza wa Jal? Yes. As for the effect on your soul, meaning if he's sinful, he would reproach himself. If he falls short, he corrects his way. As for the effect it has before Allah Azza wa Jal, that Allah sees his servant thinking about death and fearing or being ashamed or being bashful to meet his Lord. And this kind of reflection is what Allah loves. And fear of meeting Allah Azza wa Jal does not mean disliking to meet. Like for instance, we have great awe for our teachers, and we have great reverence and awe in their presence, and sometimes we have a moment to fear meeting them, but that's not from dislike, that's from love and awe and veneration and exaltation. So death of fear is not fear of meeting Allah, but fear of the greatness of that moment. So let's think of this question: what if you died tonight? Then he mentioned some of the narrations. A few of them may be weak, but the meaning is correct. And the hadith that everyone knows is that the son of Adam does not fill a thing worse than his stomach. There are many vessels, but the worst vessel to fill is to fill your stomach with food, meaning you fill it to the top, because this would harm you. And what about the manufactured food today? This is another huge topic. The processed foods. Even non-Muslims are in agreement that these processed foods that are full of chemicals and that Allah protect us from. And this is one other reason to reduce intake of this processed food. And one of the things is that processed food has a very negative effect on you, not just on your body, but on your heart. Because the more human hands touch food, the more it has a negative effect on it. Meaning, a food that is cooked in certain way, meaning, let's call it something, pizza for instance, or ketchup for instance. The ketchup and tomatoes. Tomatoes are created by Allah naturally. Let's not talk about the GMOs and stuff. Imagine rain came down and the seed of tomatoes got planted, and you have a tomato plant, and you have now the ketchup on the ketchup is processed, and the tomatoes are from Allah Azza wa Jal. Someone would say Allah created ketchup. No, Allah didn't create anything called ketchup. So its ingredients were created, and then they got mixed in together, and now there's something created that has ketchup. It's called ketchup, which causes harm. And people only produce things in large quantities for instant gratification and making a lot of money. So the step that we can start with is to eat more natural stuff. the more we can eat natural foods with as much as possible, which has less human or less processing, you have a natural tomato, and then you have like processed tomatoes or preserved tomatoes in a can, for instance. Then go for the natural one. Don't go to processed foods unless there is a need. Like like how Allah Azza wa Jal allows us to eat even prohibited food when we're in the need, dire need. So the more the food is natural, it's better, it's pure, it's even the doctors say this, that to eat fruit is better than to drink its juice. And to eat directly from the fruit is better than to cut into pieces. To, to eat uh, the apple directly or to cut into pieces, to eat directly is better than cutting into pieces, because when you cut into pieces, the oxidation happens and it loses its nutrient value. And this is talking about food that is that is processed food. What about the food that the effect of the people who cook, their intentions, and all that has an effect? And this will cover in chapters that are on that are that specifically talk about this topic. Now, what is intended by hunger is not to stay hungry all day. The purpose is two things. If you feel hunger, don't hasten to fill your stomach. Let the hunger taste hunger for a few minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. There's nothing wrong in that. And then in that moment, remember the Prophet ﷺ. Secondly, you appreciate the value of the things Allah has made for you. You are hungry, you are capable of filling your stomach with things that you like to eat. But there are other people who are not capable of that. Secondly, when you're hungry, you eat, but you don't eat to fill your stomach to the top. There's some people, 24 hours, they never experience hunger. They keep eating, they're just grazing. Between meals, they're having their snacks and light meals, and then they have their main courses, and then they have their sweet dish. And so when will he experience hunger? And, and he's having his tea and coffee and everything else. Unfortunately, we live in this environment. So restrict the pathways in which the devil traverses. They're saying from the benefits of hunger, as we said, hunger does not mean you don't just stay hungry, you just organize your eating time. The benefits of hunger is that it purifies the heart, it purifies your thoughts. You can think clearly, and you can make good decisions. Most people who make wrong decisions is because they think in the wrong times. they'll say, let me fill up my stomach, let me eat, let me have my sweet dish, and then we'll have a meeting. They won't have good decisions. There's a habit in Tarim and Hadramaut that if there's been a gathering and then there's food in the gathering, they would do the food after the gathering. Sometimes it can cause delay. Some people, there's a gathering, some people they eat and then they do their mawlids. We know that after eating most people feel tired and they feel sleepy. So for this reason we find our teachers they they they've organized their gatherings in a way that if there's a meal, it happens after the gathering. If somebody says that the food's going to be too late, it's not healthy. It's conditional. Um, you can eat or you cannot eat. Also, food in gatherings of knowledge will not harm you because it's sacred. It's to honor the guest and it's to honor the pillars of this faith. This is the desire of food is to just simply order. Uh, if so, if the host makes the intention to honor the guest and to honor the gathering, then that intention blesses the food, and the blessed food will not harm you. But obviously, this does not mean you fill yourself up to the top. It has to be appropriate. So for this reason, they say the student who has examinations, if they want to revise or they want to make a project or anything at work or university, don't do that work while you're full. Do it when you're half empty, half full, meaning not that you're full to the point you're sleepy and not to the point you're hungry where you can't think of anything else. In that state, uh, you get openings when if you're thinking, if you're revising for examination, for if you're planning for a project, or if you're writing articles, etc.
رقة القلب حتى يدرك به لذة المناجاة ويتأثر بالذكر والعبادة. قال الجنيد: يجعل أحدكم بينه وبين قلبه مخلاة من الطعام ويريد أن يجد حلاوة المناجاة. ولا يخفى عليك أن أحوال القلب من الخشية والخوف والرقة والمناجاة والانكسار والهيبة من مفاتيح أبواب الجنة، وإن كان باب المعرفة فوقه والجوع فرع لهذا الباب أيضا.
And this is something that is tried and tested. A person, you've noticed yourself that when you're fasting, which is when you're hungry, you have a brittleness of your heart, meaning you're quick to tears, for instance.
فإذا جعت صبرت وتضرعت وإذا شبعت شكرت.
Also, this is from the benefits of hunger, is that you have a state of broken heart when you're hungry. There's a state of servanthood, slavehood before Allah Azza wa Jal. You feel that you're a slave of Allah, that you're weak, that you are in need of this food. You remember hunger. You remember the hungry people, the poor people, the needy people, the hungry people all over the world, in Africa and other places. He realizes he is a slave who is he's in need of Allah Azza wa Jal. But so this brokenness, but when he is always satiated and full, he feels he's strong, that he feels that he owns all of the dunya. And this is known that that is the pathways of the devils, where your, your the least thing that you can do, as our teachers have said, is to leave a morsel that you're desiring. We're not saying never eat or the least thing you can do, if you want to eat food that you're desiring, there's nothing wrong in that. Whatever type it could be, and you are desiring it. But don't forget to eat with the righteous intention. Second, to come with all the etiquettes of eating and the sunnahs. And thirdly, you leave a morsel, even if it's one morsel that you are desiring. But don't leave it to chuck it away, for instance. Or some people say, if I don't eat this, is going to be thrown. Nobody's saying throw it. You could feed somebody else with it. Who will eat from leftovers? So what you can do is, before you eat, you give away. And very few people do. Most people nowadays, and may Allah reward them for it, they give the extra leftovers to other people. They take the leftovers, they put it in a new box, or they wrap it up and they heat it, and then they leave it for somebody. But it's leftovers, and the poor person will know that these are leftovers. But what is better than that? So what is better than that is to give the food before you eat. Before you eat, you take a portion, you put it in the best uh, container, and then you give it warm and fresh to the poor. And this is the best, and this is what the Salihin did, and this is what the Prophet ﷺ did as well. Whenever the food would come to him, he would say, give the first part to Sayyidina Fatima, even though he's her father and her sheikh. So if you feel like I won't be able to leave a morsel in the end and no one's going to eat and go to waste, at the beginning of your food, before you eat, you make a portion for the poor to give. Meaning the one you've given the food to is eating fresh food, and he's eaten before you eat. And it doesn't mean you have to give to a needy person. It could be you could gift it to your neighbor, because food and drink is given to poor and rich. Obviously, poor is more deserving. There's nothing wrong in feeding your neighbor, whether he's a millionaire or if it's with a righteous intention. It has an effect. So if you don't find someone to give to, then feed your family first. Your wife prepared food for you. She prepared the table, and she says, "Come eat." Then you take the first morsel and feed her. First, it has great reward. And the Prophet said that the morsel a person puts in the mouth of his spouse, there'll be more love, more uh, but simple actions have great effect and great blessings and great reward. But it requires somebody to have control of himself. You will eat no matter what, but it's just a matter of a morsel or two. And then he says, if you have a guest, then you present it to the guests first. And if you have parents, then Allahu Akbar, then present it to them the best that you have in front of them. Sayyidina Ali, Zayn al-Abidin, if his mom ate with him, he wouldn't eat until she would finish eating. And when she would ask, why aren't you eating? He would say, I'm just worried that if I eat and I take a morsel that you had your eyes on it and I take it, then I would be uh, disregarding you or be considered aq.
أن البلاء من أبواب الجنة لأن فيه مشاهدة طعم العذاب وبه يعظم الخوف من عذاب الآخرة ولا يقدر الإنسان على أن يعذب نفسه بشيء كالجوع فإنه لا يحتاج فيه إلى تكلف ويرتبط به فوائد أخرى فيكون مشاهدا بلاء الله تعالى على الدوام. طبعا ليس معنى بلاء ولكن
Here bala does not mean punishment, or they're taking the linguistic meaning that anything that impacts you, or it's like a form of punishment or torture. But it's not the torture that we think of. In fact, you're purifying it. The demonic people will say that you're torturing it. No, but you're purifying it. They say that most of the Sahabas, they were skinny. All of the Sahabas, the first generation, they didn't have anyone who was like heavy, or most of them, they were healthy, slim. Some didn't have food. Some of them were poor, but some of them were rich. But they didn't experience satiation because they would prefer others over themselves. The Ansar, the helpers, were tradesmen, so they could eat as much as they wanted, but then they would prefer others. They would feed others. They would feed the Ahl Sufa in the mosque of the Prophet ﷺ. They feed the poor and the needy. Also, they would strive for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. I mean, they had movement and in their life that would burn that whatever fat that they would to get from eating, or they would stand up in the night and pray. So there were no Sahabis who were like overweight. This is why their bodies and the Prophet ﷺ mentioned about the end of times that there will be a lot of obesity. In the end of times, there will be a lot of fat people. This is what we're living in this day and age, unfortunately, which is indicative that people's aspirations are in their food and their desires. If a person has to go buy shopping, he has to, he has to, he has to, he has to, people go out just to eat. What is the trip for today? Is to go out and eat and come back. We're not saying don't go out and eat. What we're saying is take make a portion of your outing as eating, as in yes, we'll a part of it will be to go to a restaurant, but then after that we'll go to this place, and then we'll go to this park, and then we'll have a nice time there, and then we'll go here and there, and not just you go out, eat, and then come back. May Allah accept it all from us and bless our food.
وأما شهوة الفرج فلا تخفى غائلتها والجوع يكفي شرها، فمن شبع فلا يملك فرجه، فإن منعه التقوى فلا يملك عينه، فالعين تزني كما أن الفرج يزني، وجميع معاصي الأعضاء السبعة سببها القوة الحاصلة في الشبع. وقال حكيم: كل مريد صبر على أكل الخبز البحت سنة لا يخلط معه شيئا من الشهوات ويأكل بنصف بطنه رفع الله تعالى عنه مؤنة شهوة النساء. السادسة: خفة البدن للتهجد والعبادة وزوال النوم المانع من العبادة، فإن رأس مال السعادة العمر، والنوم ينقص العمر إذ يمنع من العبادة، وأصله خفة الأكل. قال أبو سليمان الداراني: من شبع دخل عليه 6 خصال: فقد حلاوة العبادة، وتعذر حفظ الحكمة، وحرمان الشفقة على الخلق، لأنه إذا شبع ظن الخلق كلهم شباعا، وثقل العبادة وزيادة الشهوات، وأن سائر المؤمنين يدورون حول المساجد وهو يدور حول المزايد. السابعة
Means the one who eats a lot has to go to the washroom a lot.
السابعة خفة المؤنة، وإمكان القناعة بقليل من الدنيا، وإمكان إيثار الفقر، فإن من قنع تخلص من شره بطنه ولم يفتقر يتوكل إلى مال كثير فيسقط عنه أكثر هموم الدنيا، فمهما أراد أن يستقرب لقضاء شهوة البطن استقرب من نفسه وترك شهوته. كان إذا قيل لإبراهيم أدهم في شيء إنه غال قال رخصوه بالترك.
حسب قيد أخيرا هنا، يعني هذا على كل حال بعض فوائد.
So this is some of the benefits of hunger. Oh, but what is intended here is that when you feel hungry, don't hasten to thank Allah and to use that opportunity to remember Allah and make it an opportunity to cleanse your body. So the purpose here is nurturing the soul, purifying the soul. If it's purified, then you can go back to eating because you're already in control. This is a way of raising your children. When you teach your children, when you're feeding your children, don't say, "Are you full?" No, say, "Is that enough?" We should teach our children to eat what is enough for them, not for what fills them. People think that filling you you've eaten once you're full. No. And also that you don't eat with desire, you eat with good intention. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal that He grants us enabling grace to purify our souls, that He makes our food halal, blessed, that Allah enables us to purify our souls, grant our souls purification. You are the best of those who purify, you are the guardian of our souls. Prayers and salutations be upon our Master Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sallam.
وبركاته.
هل يوجد حالات ممكن الشبع يكون له تأثير سلبي على الشهوة أو شيء يعني؟
تأثير سلبي؟ الشبع أكيد نعم. الشبع هذا خاصة إذا كان إنسان شبع من طعام حرام أو شبهة، هذا تأثير سلبي أكيد. أو شبع من طعام مباح ولكن ما كما ذكرنا أكل بدون نية صالحة يؤثر. أو أكل طعاما مباحا ولكن بدون أن يسمي الله عز وجل، أو قصر حتى في بعض سنن الأكل. سؤال جيد. يعني أحيانا ممكن يأكل هكذا بقليل لكن
So a person may eat less, but it still harms him because he didn't have a good intention, he didn't have the sunnahs, or he didn't say Bismillah. So a person needs to eat with the sunnahs and the etiquettes of eating as much as possible.
على مراد الله ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم بخير وعافية. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وسلم.